just a hand so true, loyal until his turn goes number two. During the heat of the game, it's clear he's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears. Quickly, it's a real heater. Once my friend, he's a locker room leader. In the chaos, he's the center, turning us into believers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday night. It is 7 p.m. It is time once again for the Locker Room Breakdown. I am OM Dynamic. Yes, I am back, ladies and gentlemen. I've had a couple of weeks away. I was supposed to be back last week, but things happened. I was unable to be here. I am feeling somewhat refreshed. I do still have familial obligations for a couple more days, so I will be back to my regularly scheduled programming beginning this coming Tuesday. But this is the Locker Room Breakdown. This is the Rasslin recap. And last week, everything really seemed to be rooted in family with Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown really, really got you right in the feels. It was emotional. It was provocative. It was everything we've wanted. But we will get to SmackDown in just a little while. Right now, let's take a look at Monday Night Raw and the week that was. And, well, rooted in family, let's start it off with some family. We had video packages to open the show, and then all of a sudden we heard on a microphone, day one-ish, just me, Oos, day one-ish, as Solo Sikoa was walking through the crowd, looking as only Solo can, singing Jey Uso's theme music. And I was really, really intrigued by this, but what was it going to mean? Solo started, before he could get very far, he was interrupted by his big brother, Jey Uso, who came out and was cutting a promo. And although I don't really remember what was said in a lot of the promo, it was a verbal back and forth. It was, of course, verbal sparring between two guys who are absolutely great on the mic. Jey and Solo did set up Monday night's main event with the stipulation that if Jey won, he would hand deliver Solo Sikoa to Roman Reigns. Solo said, that's fine, but when I win, you and the bloodline leave me the hell alone. Jey proceeded to close this out with, this is your warning shot, pal. And Jey, who is primarily a heel, is still getting those face cheers. And I don't know what it is, if we're going to Bizarro World now, or if the lines are just blurred so much that we don't know who is and who isn't a babyface and a heel anymore. And Solo, to his credit, beautifully choreographed, ducked down and got up, saying, whoa, okay, chill. Looked at the crowd, is everybody good? Anybody get shot? And then, well, Jey, this is your warning shot. Pew! Solo is delivering this new charisma, this new attitude that is really endearing him to the fans. And I've been a Solo fan for quite some time. I was a Solo fan back in NXT, but he hasn't always been booked the best on the main roster. You know, he was the enforcer for Roman Reigns until that got changed. So now he's getting to maybe be himself a little bit more. And I mean, when the locker room is asked about who's the funniest guy, Solo's name is the first one that is brought up as being the funniest guy. Is Solo maybe the Owen Hart of this generation as far as ribbing and backstage antics go? If that's the case, I really, really hope that when we see whatever's going to happen with Solo and Roman, that Solo is allowed to develop this and carry this going forward. And it pushes him into that upper echelon, that next level. But that wasn't all. After that segment, Jay finds Jimmy in the back. And those two talk, but then they're confronted by Jacob Fatu, who says, "What are you doing? You're going out there calling your own play, calling your own shot. You're not sticking to the family script. You're not sticking to the plan." Now, we know that Jacob, who has been maybe falling in line a little bit more alongside the Usos, has also said to them, you know, I don't follow you. The only one I follow is Roman. I follow my tribal chief. So, is that what this is building to? Are we building to Solo and Jacob once again reuniting to create something new out of the ashes of the MFT and maybe the ashes of the bloodline? Grundle Fudge, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in, saying Rasslin is family. Greatly appreciate you stopping in. Much appreciated. Tell us how you found the show. We want to hear from you. So, Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa set up their main event for the night for Raw. I'm okay with it. I'm not big on the family versus family thing. I'm not big on the brother versus brother. This felt different because this wasn't one brother turning on another. This was two brothers in different directions, both trying to go. So this felt a little bit more organic as opposed to one brother turning on the other. But as we found out post SummerSlam from Rey Mysterio, there is a lucha tournament occurring between superstars of Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AAA to determine a contender for the Tribal Chief, for Roman Reigns, who will defend the World Heavyweight Championship September 14th when Raw comes to us from Mexico City. I'm all about tournaments. I love tournaments. I just wish it was sort of a one night, but I understand it. I'm glad it's taking place on one brand instead, and you're including everybody. But still, I would like to see that one night tournament designed to get that contender. But we kicked that tournament off with the former Intercontinental Champion Penta taking on Laredo Kid. And if you're not familiar with Laredo Kid, get yourself familiarized. I have been watching Laredo Kid since his previous stints in TNA and Impact Wrestling. Of course, in AAA, this was his first opportunity to truly show the world what he is capable of on that scale, making his WWE true WWE Monday Night Raw debut. And these two have had matches before. I have always enjoyed them. This was, I believe, the third time that they ever faced each other one-on-one. Was it exactly what you would expect? And more. That is your answer, ladies and gentlemen, and more. I'm not used to seeing Laredo Kid working in a heel role, which he has been doing for the last little while. So it was really, really interesting for me to see that, to feel that, and to see where he is going with this. But this was that back and forth, catch as catch can, lucha style. So the high flying, the technical, the ground and pound. There was a little bit of everything. Of course, in the end, Penta did deliver the Mexican Destroyer to win the match, but it did get countered a couple of times. And I think Laredo Kid is going to have a bright, bright future. I hope we continue to see him on main roster WWE. Whether he stays on Raw, whether he is back to SmackDown and challenging Ray Phoenix, who we're going to discuss in just a little while. But Laredo Kid is potentially the next one. I will say this, I prefer Laredo Kid to Dragon Lee. And I mean, they're both fantastic competitors, so don't get me wrong. And this is coming from a non-lucha guy. We need Bubba Duke to tell us all about Lucha Libre. So, is it just the fact that Penta is the former Intercontinental Champion that he gets to go first match in the tournament, advance to the next round to see who we're going to face? Is he the odds-on favorite to win the tournament? I would have to assume he is, but you never know what sort of surprises they are going to pull. Honestly, the way things are looking, I honestly hope the final isn't what I think it's going to be, and we're going to discuss that when we cover the preview portion of Raw here in just a little while. The biggest secondary feud on Raw then took place, and I call it a secondary feud just because of everybody involved. And two of the people should be main eventing, not stuck in a rut, and certainly not doing this with nothing for anybody to gain. Austin Theory, one half of your World Tag Team Champions, took on Akira Tozawa. Tozawa lost his partner Otis a couple of weeks ago when Theory took him out after the tag team title match. This really didn't need it. I know the match needed to be there to blow it off, great. It's done. Tozawa, again, getting in some offense, but again, he's just that enhancement talent with an entrance. And that's fine. I mean, Tozawa celebrated a decade in WWE. He has always been a fantastic competitor, and I think it's time WWE truly allowed him to develop that and let him be who he is. Not just an enhancement talent with an entrance. Yes, I'm putting Tozawa now in that former Penta category that I had him in. This was a back and forth match. Yes, Theory picked up the win. Yes, Theory taunted Tozawa with Maxine. You know, I love the pairing. I love the idea. And now I'm done with it. It's over for me. I don't need Theory and Maxine now doing this because it's not doing anything. It's not enhancing the tag team titles. Yes, Logan Paul is injured. Yes, he is there at ringside. But it's not helping him any. And then Braun Breaker, who is there? The other half of the tag team champions, because as it had been written into their contract, any two members of the Vision can defend the tag team titles. And Braun Breaker is now sitting there twiddling his thumbs at ringside while Austin Theory is battling guys like Tozawa. It doesn't help the tag team titles. It doesn't help the tag team title picture. I know you've got things to do as far as getting new teams, but, and I will get into this in a little bit, but there was all this rush to get people up from NXT, and now you've staggered NXT. I'm going to go on a rant about that, so I don't want to get into it. After the match, they proceeded to continue the beatdown. And when they went to use the chair, as Braun Breaker went to go and spear Tozawa, Obafemi's music hit. So we know that both of these men are being touted as the future and future cornerstones of the WWE. And already you're putting them on a collision course. It is way too soon for this. Way too soon. This is not something you do until next year, unless you're going to do a one-off now to blow this up. Get that settled for now, and then you have this as sort of a, culminating rivalry, something along the lines of Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns type of rivalry, where you started off here and you're going to end it a decade from now. But everybody got involved here as far as the officials and security went, making sure that Femi and Breaker did not get at each other. But again, ladies and gentlemen, it is way too soon for Breaker and Oba to be battling each other. If you're going to do it, this better be a one-off. And if you have Breaker win, Oba better go to SmackDown. I'm going to be honest there, because I don't want this something being dragged out. if you want to build this, there's two other guys that we can touch on for feuds with Oba after that. And one of those would be Bronson Reed. So if you're going to do this, you have Bronson Reed debut and take out Obafemi to make sure that Braun Breaker gets that win. But that's just one of them. The WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship has been a cause of consternation for a lot of people. People not happy that Liv Morgan wasn't defending the title, and she hadn't defended it since WrestleMania until her match at SummerSlam. I can understand that. At the same time, Liv Morgan, the Judgment Day, and that title were being used as an attraction. There was nobody truly there to step up and challenge Liv, because you had Bayley and Lyra were doing the tag team thing. So Ruka certainly wasn't ready to step up and face Liv Morgan one-on-one for the title. Io Sky was just done and played out. So where would you go? Then a lot of people not happy that Liv Morgan retained the title at SummerSlam over Io Sky. But as I said, that situation was played out. But it all set up what happened the week prior, after Raquel Rodriguez had won the Intercontinental Championship, and we heard or saw the return of Becky Lynch. Now, I'm not a big fan of Becky Lynch heel promo work. But now she's back as a babyface, and now she's able to talk clearly, not stumble over her words, not do any of that. I'm sorry, folks, make it make sense. And she came back saying she was, coming back for the women's championship. And let's not forget, it was with Becky Lynch where Dom really showed his true sides, costing Becky the women's championship on more than one occasion before that match that she had with Rhea Ripley, in which Dom turned and fully embraced Liv Morgan and became Daddy Dom, and not the broken con Dom. We also saw the same night, the night after SummerSlam, as Becky Lynch was in the ring, the return of Stephanie Vicaire. This would have been better suited at SummerSlam, but I like them both returning on the same night, because now it put Liv between a rock and a hard place. And it would have only made sense for one of them to return at SummerSlam had Liv lost. So, last week we got a face-to-face between Stephanie Vicaire, La Primera, and Big Time Bex. Both of them staking their claim to the women's championship. Both of them stating they wanted the opportunity and they didn't care what they had to do. And both of them saying, stay out of my way. So, yes, I do believe we're going to a triple threat match come Money in the Bank. But I also think that after that, you're going to see Becky Lynch and Stephanie Vicaire break down, have a little bit of a singles thing going on to see who gets that next shot. At the end of this face-to-face, we did see Liv Morgan show up, and she not pushed Becky into Stephanie Vicaire. One of the things that I really liked about last week's Raw was that they kept these segments short, sweet, and simple. We didn't have anything long, drawn out, overblown. But this needs to really, really elevate the title. I've accused, yes, I'll say it, I have accused Becky Lynch of using titles as an aesthetic, as a prop piece. Carl Carafel will not agree with me, but I will say this: until SummerSlam, and I've said it here, I'm going to contradict myself. I said that the title was an attraction. Liv Morgan used it as a set piece. The title was there as a set piece, a piece of aesthetic. I'm going to say it. So now the fact that it is going to be fought over, and we've still got to figure out what's going to happen with Raquel Rodriguez, your new women's intercontinental champion. Ladies and gentlemen, there is still a little bit more to cover from Monday Night Raw last week, but first, we could use some help here at Turnbuckle Studios.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, video games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. If you have ever wanted your break in podcasting, content creation, or to help us out behind the scenes, hit the join button. Send us your credentials via email. Tell us how you can help us, how we can help you. We will sit down as a collective and find the right fit. All of that and more. Turnbucklestudios.org. So, we saw, and I said we would be discussing Dragon Lee a little bit later on, and we're going to discuss him again. We'd seen a situation unfold where Dominic Mysterio, your AAA Mega Champion, and former Intercontinental Champion, let's not forget, was left out of the tournament to crown a number one contender for Roman Reigns. And we saw him take it out, call his father out on it. But Ray stepped up and said, Dom, you didn't train in Mexico. You didn't train in the heart of Lucha Libre. That's why you're not in this. So, this was Dom's ego getting the better of him, puts him into this match. And again, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm not a Lucha Libre guy, but this match truly, truly delivered. And I do believe that Dom, as your AAA Mega Champion and former Intercontinental Champion, should have been in that tournament, even if you put him in with a bye. And I'll say that just because it's Dom, you put him in with that bye, and you would have done so much more for him. So, again, Dom gains control of the match. We get the fight back. Dom hits the 619, hits the frog splash, but Dragon Lee counters the frog splash. Picks up the win. And I know we are talking about Dominic Mysterio on Monday Night Raw has not had a great deal of success since losing the Intercontinental Championship. But he has been having a lot of success and is really one of the most over competitors in AAA, which again is why I would have put him into this match, into this tournament. But at the same time, let's not forget, Triple Mania for AAA is September 11th and September 13th. And then you'd have Dom back in Mexico City on September 14th, challenging Roman Reigns right after he defends the title against El Grande Americano. So, I understand why he was left out of the tournament, but you put him in a bye. You could have had him lose the final, and you would have been fine. I even think that putting El Grande Americano into this tournament would have been fantastic. But again, you're protecting your Triple Mania main event because you didn't want to run the risk of them running into each other ahead of time. I still personally think we should see Dom and Ray at Triple Mania with the title versus mask, but I digress. It was everything after this match. Because again, we saw Big Cass, who returned the previous Monday and attacked Javon Evans. Well, now he came out, he laid out Dragon Lee, which brought Javon Evans back out. We are talking about the same Javon Evans who was just focusing on the Intercontinental Championship. Now you've got him going after a guy like Big Cass. Please, give me a break. And the same goes for Big Cass. This is something I don't need. I don't need these big guys who are returning, debuting, whatever, taking on these smaller guys who are punching above their weight. Where do I see Big Cass? Where should Big Cass be focusing? Obafemi. That's right. Big Cass, Obafemi. You can put the focus back on the tag team titles. Take the focus away from Braun Breaker and Oba, which it's too soon for. Big Cass provides somebody of similar size, similar stature, and would make a great, great opponent for Obafemi. So this really, again, did nothing for me. So, yeah, we need to do a little bit better. This is the same old formula. Just doesn't cut the mustard, folks. Creative, we got to be a little bit better. Just a little bit better. Because what's going to happen? Cass is going to come out. Okay, are we going to get Big Cass versus Javon Evans on Monday? I don't know. Are we going to get Big Cass versus Dragon Lee? Are we going to get Big Cass versus Javon Evans and Dragon Lee? Who knows? Or is that a situation where Dom says, wait a minute, I need some backup. And he goes and gets himself with Big Cass. We had Sol Ruca and a mystery opponent taking on the Judgment Day's Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Who would that mystery opponent or mystery partner be? Again, none other than Io Sky. There were so many ways you could have gone, but again, This Io Sky versus the Judgment Day thing is played out. Io Sky needs a refresh. The WWE Women's Division on Raw needs a refresh. I think that this would have been the ideal situation where, after what we had happen earlier, and given their history, Sol Ruka and Becky Lynch would have been great. Sol Ruka and Stephanie Vaquer, who's looking to send a message to the Judgment Day, would have been great. This would have been really the way to go. And you keep, because Io Sky doesn't need to be around the title for a little while. If you're going to put her after Raquel Rodriguez, again, that match is played out. I don't need Io Sky around the Intercontinental Championship. Although I'd rather have her there than challenging Liv Morgan. But this is, again, a case of Raw creative needing to be better. And I'm going to get into that, again, a little bit later on. Great match, and I love the chemistry that the Judgment Day have. But again, it seems to be the slow, painful burn for the Judgment Day falling apart, as it was Io Sky and Sol Ruka picking up the victory in this tag team match. But again, Sol Ruka was rushed and hot-shotted into a title picture way too soon, and this is not something we need. So, again, like I said, the WWE Raw Women's roster needs a reset, needs a refresh. We're going to talk about a refresh and a reset when we cover what happened on SmackDown. And then we saw Braun Breaker talking with Paul Heyman, which we know the history there. We don't know where Paul Heyman's affiliation lies as far as Braun Breaker, as far as the vision goes. But Braun Breaker said, you know, am I the future of WWE, or is Oba Femi the future? Heyman saying, I respect them until you give me a reason not to. And we also saw Chad Gable, as part of his redemption arc, go to Rey Mysterio and say, Rey, I want to face you one-on-one and defend the Intercontinental Championship. So we got that accepted. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our main event of the evening. Does Solo Sikoa get hand-delivered to Roman Reigns? Or does the Bloodline leave Solo Sikoa alone? That's right, it was Jey Uso versus Solo Sikoa. The organic field, the build, the big fight. This was everything that a true brother versus brother match should be, that didn't have the result of one brother sticking it to the other. So, this was all about focus. Jey was locked in. Yes, Jey did pick up the victory with a couple of spears and an Uso splash, as well as some interference from Jimmy. But you know what? It's part of the bigger picture as far as the story goes. So we know now that tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, Jey Uso will hand deliver Solo Sikoa to Roman Reigns. Where do we go from here? I liked this finish. It was simple. It was, yes, we had the interference, but this was the interference from Jimmy was just exactly what Solo had been doing to him in every other situation. So I do think that in this case, turnabout was fair play. So we will take another quick break here, and we are going to come back to preview Monday Night Raw here tomorrow night.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, and we encourage you to check out our shop. It is powered by redbubble.com, so it is 100% safe, 100% secure. Support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. Wear what we wear. And ladies and gentlemen, all of those proceeds come back into these studios to bring you a better experience. When you make that purchase as well, let us know, tag us on the socials, and we will give you a live shout out right here on air during one or more of our weekly programs. So, tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, join Chris Best, Carl Carafel, and the Raw Patrol with special guest RBV of the Hameen Media Group. So, this is where we're at. We are going to see Sol Ruca versus Lyra Valkyria. I know this started... Sol had given Lyra an Intercontinental Championship match. Lyra wants to get back to her Intercontinental Championship, and I don't blame her. But really, Sol Ruca, who needs to now be away from that picture. She lost the title. She wasn't ready for it. But now you're going to put her into this match. We know that Lyra deserves to get back to the Intercontinental Championship picture. But she's been there, and I think she's another one that needs a reset. And I think that Lyra needs to potentially move to SmackDown as well. But Sol Ruca versus Lyra Valkyria with this new attitude, the new music, the new anger, the new aggression, I will take this match. In fact, I don't know if it's going to be my match of the night because of just what else we have lined up tomorrow. But these women are probably going to knock it out of the park. But Lyra's going to need some other babyface competition. Raquel needs a babyface to defend against. And Sol does have her rematch coming. Is this where we get the potential return of Bayley in this match as well after what happened at Saturday night's main event in Madison Square Garden? Does that throw Lyra off her game? Does that add another person into the mix for the Intercontinental Championship? Anything is possible. And we do need that reset in the women's division. So we will have to find out. We are going to see, as I just mentioned, Rey Mysterio and Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. Again, sign me up. This, I have a feeling, will be your match of the night. Should be your main event of the night, but I really don't think it's going to be for whatever reason. I'm probably going to be the main event match because I do think there's going to be another segment. but you just never know. 2 more matches in the number 1 contenders tournament to see who's going to face Roman Reigns on September 14th in Mexico City. We talked about Dragon Lee, and guess what? We're going to talk about him again. Dragon Lee versus El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. So the son of Dr. Wagner versus Dragon Lee. You can't sit there and tell me that we're going to not have Penta, Dragon Lee, whoever else is on the main roster in this tournament, not go over on the AAA guys. Though this, if you're going to put a AAA guy over in anything, this is the one of the two to do it in. You want to have that representation from AAA further into the tournament, whether it's the second round or whether you're going to go right to the final with a AAA guy as well. I do believe that Penta is the guy that's going to win this tournament, but we will just have to wait and see. The second match, your AAA Cruiserweight Champion, Rey Fénix, will take on El Fiscal. The way this tournament bracket looks, you could absolutely go to Penta versus Rey Fénix in the finals. Rey Fénix having that AAA Cruiserweight title would class him as a AAA guy going into that. But he is also a SmackDown superstar. Does this become the tipping point in a Raw versus SmackDown type of feud? Does this come down to brother versus brother? Again, it's an organic thing. We've seen Fénix and Penta battle each other before, but we've also seen them team up before, just not in WWE. So, I'm going to take Rey Fénix in that one. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, Jey Uso delivers Solo Sikoa to Roman Reigns. Yes, we know that Roman Reigns, again, comes back to Monday Night Raw tomorrow in Buffalo, New York. So, what is going to happen? Does Roman take Jacob's side and say, hey, you called your own play? That wasn't what I asked for. We know that Roman had said, bring Solo back. But maybe this is the time when Roman says, you know, you want to do things on your own, do things on your own. Or maybe Solo says to him, I'll rejoin the bloodline, but you give LA Knight the title shot at Money in the Bank. You let LA Knight face you, and after that match, I will rejoin the bloodline. Again, there are lots of different ways that this can go. Does Solo maybe get his britches up? Does he try and lay out somebody? Or does he maybe appeal to Jacob? Saying, you know, I'm a new man. Does he appeal to Jacob's sense of purpose, sense of focus, and sense of loyalty? We don't know what time this is going to happen on the show. Personally, I do believe that this is going to be your main event segment, but I do think that this is something that should start the show and carry us throughout the show. Ladies and gentlemen, another commercial break, and we will come back and recap Friday Night SmackDown, which got us all right in the feels.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays let us power your dreams with the Xbox Showcase at 9 p.m. Friday we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And there is something for you each and every night of the week. So we encourage you to join us. Find your favorite shows and sit down, watch them, join us. But we want you to meet the team behind those shows as well under the host section. Click on our individual links to get our socials and watch our latest weekly live episodic programs. All of that and more. Turnbucklestudios.org. Ladies and gentlemen, SmackDown got us right in the feels this past Friday. It was emotional. It was thought-provoking. It was intense. It was everything we expect from Friday Night SmackDown. And more. It was a bit of a changing of the guard as well on SmackDown, and I am here for it. We have heard, there are reports coming out now that, again, early in the new year, SmackDown is going to go back to 3 hours. That needs to change, folks. We cannot keep going back between 2 hours and 3 hours, 2 hours and 3 hours. Find that comfort limit, WWE. You got to tell USA Network, this is what we want, this is what we need, or you're only going to carry part of the show. And I think that that's what WWE needs to step up and do. But we started off with our reinstated SmackDown General Manager, Nick Aldis, in the ring. And he asked for our new women's champion to come out to the ring, Chelsea Green. Rhea Ripley missed SummerSlam due to a torn meniscus, unable to compete, and the title was put up to crown an interim champion. Then it's announced that they removed the interim label, essentially stripping Rhea of the title. All then for Chelsea Green, our WWE Women's Champion, to get injured in a tag team match the week before against Fatal Influence with a broken orbital bone. The Chelsea Green that we saw was far from the woman who would throw a hissy fit, calling Mr. Aldis Nicholas and doing anything she could to scheme and manipulate. She wasn't the Karen type character that she had been. Instead, she came out and said, "Don't say it. Don't do this. I know you were busy at SummerSlam. You got to be out there. You got to have your family at ringside. You got to have that moment with your family in this ring." And Nick Aldis told her, like, "You haven't been cleared. You're not medically cleared." As Chelsea was leaving the ring, titleless because she had been, Nick Aldis turned around and said, "Nick Aldis, the general manager, isn't doing this. Nick Aldis, the man, said, you have 30 days. Get yourself cleared." At which point we get interrupted by Gunther, who has absolutely nothing to do with Chelsea Green. This is a situation that didn't involve him. We even thought his feud with Nick Aldis was over. Is this just a way for him to try and stretch it out? Because he came out there, puffed his chest up and said, "Why did you add Kevin Owens to my match at SummerSlam?" Nick's response was, "No, I did you the favor. We'd been negotiating with Kevin Owens for months for that match. We added you to KO's match at SummerSlam." He proceeded to berate Chelsea Green for whatever reason. And she even said, "It's great. Puff your chest out at a woman, at an injured woman, no less. But there is still only one champion in this ring, and it's me." As Gunther was in her face, all of a sudden, Matt Cardona came running out. Big ups to Matt Cardona on this. Big ups to WWE for recognizing and doing this. And Matt Cardona coming out, getting in Gunther's face, saying, "Hey, that's my wife. You don't have an issue with my wife. You have an issue with me." I loved how this segment played out. Neither men were in their gear. Gunther then laughing, saying, all the way from catering to the ring. And then, of course, we get the impromptu match after the commercial break of Gunther versus Matt Cardona. Both of these guys in their street clothes, not their ring gear. Love the idea of this because you lend credibility to the impromptu, not just, okay, now we're going to have Gunther and Matt Cardona later tonight. So, this was brilliant, but much like Theory and Tozawa on Raw, this was that enhanced squash match, so to speak. But again, this didn't do anything for Cardona, and we still need to get Gunther away from this career killer type of thing. So is he trying to stretch this out and create another feud and get another match with Nick Aldis? Or does Nick Aldis say, no, I'm done? Maybe we get that switch of GMs post-Survivor Series or early next year. Maybe we get some sort of change on the horizon. Backstage, we see Charlotte and Alexa. They're not friends, but Charlotte was ecstatic to have had Alexa Bliss return, fawning all over her and telling her how much she loves her, how much she's her best friend. A little bit concerned about Tatum, and Alexa says, I like Tatum. She reminds me a bit of me. And Tatum has something to show us, and a very, very creepy shrine to Alexa and Charlotte in a very, very cramped locker room area, more of a janitor's closet. I think in this situation, perhaps a Tatum Paxley would really work alongside a guy like a Danhausen. But this is great. Like, I love Tatum Paxley. I love her in this situation. But again, I think that this is where a Lyra Valkyria to SmackDown would really, really help. That you could really propel Tatum and Lyra in a tag team feud with Charlotte and Alexa, especially if Tatum and Lyra go over. But Charlotte and Alexa need to start rebuilding some momentum as a tag team here as well. We also see Cody Rhodes confronting Nick Aldis, saying, you know what, we got to make this happen. Let me get my hands on Randy Orton. Nick Aldis says, I haven't seen him, so maybe we do this at Sunday night's main event next month. So in just a few weeks, actually, about 3 weeks from now, at which point this was interrupted by Sami Zayn, who proceeded to sit there and say, once again, I've got to work for this. I went into SummerSlam with a broken ankle, with this, that, the other thing, and yet you just come out here and say, I want this, and you're going to get it. Finally, Nick Aldis said, okay, or Cody issued the challenge and added that if Sami Zayn beat Cody Rhodes, then Sami Zayn would receive a championship match against the winner of CM Punk and Kevin Owens, which we will cover again in just a little while. Carmelo Hayes, in his hometown of Boston, Massachusetts, took on Baron Corbin for the WWE United States Championship. Corbin, who just had his first match at SummerSlam since returning, has now defended the U.S. Championship twice in 2 weeks since winning it. Not the smartest move for a heel. And especially when you've just taken the title off of the next big babyface in Trick Willie, supposedly, only to go up against a former U.S. champion who constantly delivered match of the night performances in Carmelo Hayes. Yes, this was perhaps the match of the night. Again, Baron Corbin did use the title behind the ref's back to pick up the victory. But Melo is truly deserving of that next step. And again, maybe Melo needs that change of scenery. Maybe Carmelo Hayes needs to go to Monday Night Raw. Melo can move like Luchador. Maybe Melo should have been in that AAA tournament. That would be a fantastic fit. I would like to see Melo versus Dom for the Mega Championship. Melo challenging Roman. Melo against who is our men's Intercontinental Champion now? It escapes me, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for that. But then we heard Trick Williams' music hit after Corbin picked up the victory. And he was coming. And then all of a sudden, from behind, everybody's favorite sitcom dad, Little Yachty, sneaks in with the kendo stick, now the trick stick, hits the shot on Baron Corbin, but it has no effect. Great work. Love it. Especially from a clown like Little Yachty, who really shouldn't be involved in the WWE. Now, Corbin did get the kendo stick, missed a shot at Trick Williams, who was then able to fly off and hit the trick shot knee, which is starting to grow on me and is starting to look a little bit better than it has in the past. I'm still not a fan of the finisher, but ladies and gentlemen, it is Trick Williams, Mr. Lemon Peppa Steppa. Now, Trick's lost the title. Trick's had his rematch. Do we go for one final opportunity? Hell, let's do it. Let's make it a Money in the Bank qualifier. Winner gets the U.S. Championship and a spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. They already fumbled the U.S. Championship on the women's side by putting Tiffany Stratton in the ladder match at SummerSlam and not having her defend the U.S. Championship. I said this show got us right in the feels. It was thought-provoking. It was there. And nothing could be further from the truth, or this couldn't be closer to the truth, I'm sorry, than this promo battle that we had with CM Punk and Kevin Owens. A lot of history, a lot of bad blood between them. Even when CM Punk came back and he said, I don't know, he didn't degrade KO or anything like that when he returned. But there were some intense moments and all of that. We never got that match. Now, we got the story behind it all. And yes, CM Punk interrupted Kevin Owens before Kevin Owens could even get a word out, but this was a face-to-face. And quite frankly, I think KO would have said, CM Punk, come on out. Let me say what I gotta say. KO pointed out Punk's history of burning bridges. Punk got into a lot of body shaming. They both referenced their history. Punk basically told, KO, you know what? You're still mad over something that happened in a different locker room 20 years ago. Grow up. This was as intense as it could get. Punk offered KO a cheap shot. KO said, no, I've waited 20 years for this. I can wait 7 more days. This was huge. This is two of the best on the mic. They both spoke clearly. They both made their points. They both got everything across that they needed to. There was absolutely nothing that was left off the table. And this was that situation where the physicality wasn't needed. This was, let's get the emotions out there. Let's make these people think. Let's make the people feel. This adds the credibility and the legitimacy to a long-standing rivalry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got three more things to proceed through on SmackDown. But first, again, ladies and gentlemen, please, we could use your help.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, video games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, and we want your help. Hit the join button. Tell us how you can help us, how you believe we can help you. We will sit down as a collective and find the right fit. All of that and so much more at turnbucklestudios.org. R-Truth got himself and Damian Priest in a little bit of trouble a week earlier. After everything that had happened, the title versus title match a couple of weeks ago with the War Raiders, and the War Raiders saying that got interrupted by the MFTs. The War Raiders saying they wanted the rematch again. And they didn't care how it went. R-Truth stuck his nose in and said, we don't care if it's you. We don't care if it's the MFTs. We'll defend our titles against both of you. And guess what happened? We had a triple threat for the WWE Tag Team Championships on SmackDown. The MFTs, yes, they are still known as MFT, Tama and Tala Tonga, with their father Haku in their corner, versus the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, versus Damian Priest and R-Truth. Ladies and gentlemen, this was fantastic. I absolutely love this match. The physicality, the intensity, the bravado, all of it. Yes, a lot of false finishes, a lot of breakups, but a lot of kickouts as well. Would there have been a changing of the guard had R-Truth not run his mouth? Probably. But now maybe it's time for Damian Priest to focus on himself and getting himself back into a singles championship picture. Because through all of the chaos and all of the physicality, the Sons of Haku, the MFTs, Tamatonga, Talatonga, are your new WWE Tag Team Champions. This was something that should have happened a while ago. And I understand now why it didn't. This was something that probably should have happened after the MFT had been really made. That powerful faction, getting the Wyatt Six released, kayfabe-wise, being that dominant faction and nothing to show for it. just, losses building up or no decisions building up for them. And then, yes, you get them away from Solo. You reintroduce Haku to the WWE Universe. I am here for it. I absolutely love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we need that dominance. We need that power from the MFTs, those mother-loving Tongans. But this, I think, is now the time for Damian Priest to move on, get himself back into a championship picture. Maybe, again, that heel turn. He's already told Cody, the boys in the back are sick of the same 4 people. Maybe it is time for Damian Priest to maybe turn heel, get himself back into a title picture, or just get himself away from the tag team championships. You don't have to necessarily turn on R-Truth. Just say, you know what, I need to do my own thing. Truth, do you. So, we already spoke of a changing of the guard. Let's see, at SummerSlam, we saw a new WWE Women's Champion crowned. We've seen, and I just told you about new World Tag Team Champions on SmackDown. The title that should have been defended at SummerSlam, the Women's U.S. Championship, which wasn't, was defended Friday on SmackDown. Now, after everything had happened earlier with Chelsea Green in the show, which I did forget to mention that Chelsea Green did get got surrounded by the irresistible forces. They didn't actually attack her, but Tiffany Stratton came out to her aid, and she is the one that got laid out. Well, now Tiffany Stratton had to defend her Women's U.S. Championship against Jacy Jayne of Fatal Influence. To her credit, Tiffany did have Chelsea Green in her corner, despite the fact that Chelsea was unable to compete. This was, again, a great match. And Fatal Influence, right now, carries all the weight. Jacy Jayne hit the rolling encore in this match to pick up the win and your new Women's United States Champion. And again, this can be put on to the injuries that Tiffany suffered earlier in the evening. This can be put on to Tiffany Stratton getting involved when she had something else to focus on. This really, really establishes now Fatal Influence as that strongest faction. Because now, what does that say about Jade Cargill, B-Fab, and Michin? Crickets. What does it say about Charlotte, Alexa, and potentially a Tatum Paxley? Crickets. Who else is there to step up? Because we've seen Nikki Bella turn on Paige. Nikki Bella doesn't have anybody to back her up. Paige doesn't have anybody to back her up. Are we going to get that collision and get that match sooner than later so that maybe we can move on for Paige and for Nikki. I hope so, but it's going to be very, very interesting to see. This is something that should have happened a while ago as well for JC Jane, but I'm okay with it because I don't like people getting hot-shotted right into this. We know that Fatal Influence debuted the Friday after WrestleMania. So to do it instead of hot-shotting them within a month to all this gold and burning them out, you've now you've given them the time to really establish, seize control of the SmackDown women's locker room, and now everybody is looking to Fatal Influence. I am 100% for this. And now, yes, this is what Raw needs, ladies and gentlemen. SmackDown did a complete changing of the guard for their women's division. Raw needs to step up and do the same thing. And lastly, what was supposed to be Cody Rhodes versus Sami Zayn, with if Sami wins, he gets a match against the winner of Punk and KO. Cody is in the ring. Sami is making his way out. Now, Sami did have a wrist brace on and had already talked about wrestling SummerSlam on a broken ankle. Sami made it to the top of the ramp, and Cody Rhodes was attacked from behind by Randy freaking Orton. This is something that has been missing. But again, it was the same thing that we saw in the beatdown pre-WrestleMania. This was not what I needed. But we do need to get that match, and we need to get Randy that victory. This was a brawl to end it all. Even Sami Zayn, for the second time in 3 weeks, was left at the top of the ramp like, what the hell? SummerSlam, he's left in the ring knowing his one-on-one match with Finn Balor just became a four-way, and then he's returned and screwed out of a title shot by his on-again, off-again best friend, Kevin Owens. Guess what? It's these two guys that put Sami in the position of being booed because they told him, you have to be a little bit more selfish. You have to go out there and do what is best for Sami Zayn, not worry about the good of everybody else. Randy, of course, took control of this brawl, which was not a match. But Cody, able to counter, almost hits the crossroads. They both go outside. They battle on the table. The stairs come into play. Yada, yada, yada. It's the same old situation. This was something that should have just been Randy maybe hits the attack, puts Cody down, says Sunday night's main event, leaves. Sami goes in, picks up the scraps, gets that victory, and gets that title shot, gets the rematch that he has not been given because he's told, oh, you have to earn it, even though you were the champion and you lost. That's quick, simple, easy. But again, as we have seen throughout this week, everything was rooted in family. Jey Uso and Solo, the Bloodline and Solo, Rey Mysterio and Dominic, of course, Dragon Lee. Now we're going to Penta and potentially Rey Fenix. Then you're looking at Chelsea Green with Matt Cardona. Of course, Cody and Randy in that history. Sammy and KO, that history. This is where it all needs to be. Everything seemed to be rooted within family ties and blood ties this past week. We will be right back one more time. Actually, I'm going to play all three ads here one more time for you, ladies and gentlemen, and then we will preview SmackDown for this coming Friday.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, video games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays let us power your dreams with the Xbox Showcase at 9 p.m. Friday we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. It's all there. The info on how to join us. All the info on our shop. And again, all of those proceeds come back into our studios to bring you a better experience. And all of the shows. Something for you each and every night of the week. And then, of course, under the host sections, meet us, get to know us, click on our individual links to get our socials and watch our latest weekly live episodic programs. All of that at turnbucklestudios.org. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up this Friday on SmackDown, we are going to get some intriguing things. Now, what is going to happen? There was a segment that I saw from what happened after SmackDown went off the air with Nick Aldis telling Blake Monroe, the women in the back, they don't like being attacked from behind. So maybe it's time that you step in the ring and you're going to get physical. Blake said to him, great, love it. In fact, it's going to be Blake Monroe versus Chelsea Green. And Nick Aldis and somebody else, Julia, interrupted saying, no, if you're going to get physical, it's going to be me. I'm going to be your first. So this coming Friday, we are going to see Blake Monroe in active competition as she will go one-on-one with Julia. I'm all for not pushing Blake Monroe right into the title picture. I don't think we needed that. Chelsea Green wasn't going to be cleared next Monday anyways. or next Friday, I'm sorry. This happened in a situation, this is something that should have happened quite a while back. But again, now you're putting Julia in another position where you don't know what you're doing with her, because now you're putting her in the ring against a debuting Blake Monroe. We know that Blake Monroe is going to pick up the victory. And Julia, there is no sense of direction for her. Maybe Julia versus JC Jane is a way to look. Or, like I said, the Raw women's division needs that shakeup, and maybe you move Julia to Monday Night Raw. Because, yes, she is one of two that SmackDown really don't seem to know what they're doing. And I was going to make that same argument for Blake Monroe. They didn't know what they were going to do with her, which is why we haven't seen her in the ring. And I know that it's, 3 hours to 2 hours, this back and forth. You just don't have time for everybody. Fair enough. But that is just WWE making an excuse. You don't need to have the same people on the show each and every week. You can give a bit of a break. We didn't see anything from Finn Balor. We're also likely, and this is what I've said, because when I got my information, that was just one of 2 matches scheduled. Likely going to hear from JC Jane and Fatal Influence, who are now draped in gold. Who is going to step up to them to start this? Going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen there. More fallout from Trick Williams and Baron Corbin. This is done, ladies and gentlemen. Trick Williams lost the title. Trick Williams lost the rematch. This needs to be done and over with. I know Trick Williams is now potentially being, looked at as the winner of the Money in the Bank match, which I really don't think is the right way to go. But you just never know what they're going to do. More from Cody and Randy. Are we going to get that announcement for Sunday night's main event? Are we going to get more of a build towards that? I don't know. This is something now where we need that defined direction for them both. And this time, I don't think it needs to be physical. I think this is the one situation where you can just have them work to get inside each other's heads. Are we going to hear from the Sons of Haku? The MFTs, Tama and Talatonga, are new World Tag Team Champions. I hope so, but I hope that it is not something that happens in the backstage or in a video package. This is something, now we need them to go out to the ring and, again, have Haku at ringside. He was not there for the Tag Team Championship match, which really disappointed me, to say the least, especially if he is going to be a fixture and be that elder for the MFTs. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we heard the promos, we heard them go to war on the mic. Friday night from Toronto. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, if I would have had the money or the time, I probably would have hopped on a flight and gone to Toronto. Kevin Owens and CM Punk for the Undisputed Championship. Where do you guys stand on this? I would love to see KO come back and win this title, especially because I think that CM Punk, again, should not have been given that title. Yes, it was his hometown, but it was Nick Aldis who made the match when he was on administrative leave. But is this a case of Sami Zayn wants CM Punk because it was Punk who took the title from him? Does Sami Zayn want KO because KO stepped in to what was his number one contenders match against Finn Balor? And we all know the history of KO and Sami. I do think that Sami Zayn is going to cause havoc in this match, cause a disqualification. But I would love to see KO come back, win the title for the first time in 10 years, and then you can set up that tag or that triple threat championship match, even a 4-way, because we know he's got the history with Cody, a 5-way, because again, he's got that history with Randy. Now all of a sudden you're getting intriguing and you're looking at February for the Elimination Chamber, and instead of it being a contenders match, now all of a sudden you can put the title on them. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it for me here. It's been great to be back. Thank you all so much for joining me here. I truly, truly appreciate it. So, I would like to remind you once again, ladies and gentlemen, the world is better with you in it. From all of us here at Turnbuckle Studios and the Rasslin Recap, to those of you out there wherever you are, good night, good luck. I'm out.
In the locker room, a guy you'll find loves bad hockey, teams can't deny. His best friend is just a hand so true, loyal until his friend goes number 2. They're in the heat of the game, it's clear. He's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears. Quickly, it's a race.